Hey guys, this is Stephanie Walter with Airbay Wealth. You're listening to my good friend Kyle Stanley's podcast, The Fearless Investor. Keep listening to conquer the world of investing.
Hey everyone, we've got Stephanie Walter from Airbay Wealth here on the show today, and Stephanie is she's got a really great story, a very inspirational story. She's been doing insurance for 16 years, but got into she got into real estate back in 2004, and then eventually found syndication and raising capital for multifamily deals was the quickest way to be able to not only help herself get to retirement early, but also to help investors get just amazing returns on their investments. And so to me, today, you're going to listen to it either from one or two sides. You're going to be on the side of saying, hey, I've got $100,000 or more laying around. I'm looking for a really great investment vehicle that's going to get me way better returns than the stock market. And I'm telling you right now, this is that. So just listen in if you are that kind of person. But I think a majority of you probably don't have $100,000 laying around and are looking more so for the vehicle that's going to help you to retire early. So I think Stephanie's story, showing you how she was able to find this and really just be a middle woman for investors and deal flow, and being able to connect those two together has allowed her to be able to, quote unquote, retire before 50. I always use the air quotes on retirement because to me, the people like us that are in real estate really feel like we have retired and we're just doing this because we love it and it's building generational wealth. So I'm excited for this story today, the stories that she has, and also the vehicles that she has to be able to connect you with. So let's get to it with Stephanie Walter. Hey guys, welcome into the show. And before we get to this episode with our guest, I just want to ask you, can you really make money in Airbnb? Seems too good to be true, right? That's what everyone says to me. But I'm here to tell you it's the real deal, and you can do this business. And guess what? You don't even have to own a property to do it. Pretty crazy, right? But when I learned this, I, in under 18 months, went from 0 to 25 properties. That's 0 to 20K net income per month, almost completely passively. And the thing is, you guys can do the same. So all you have to do is download our Airbnb Kickstart course. Right now, it's at a 20% discount. In this course, I teach you how to master, automate, and scale your Airbnb business that can pay you six figures almost completely passively. All you have to do is go to fearlesskyle.com. It's right there on the Airbnb tab, and you can get started today. Now, with that being said, we have Stephanie Walter with us today. She's the CEO of Airbay Wealth, and we're excited to have you on the show, Stephanie.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So coming in from Denver, and we're going to be talking a lot today about apartments and syndication. So I got to ask, what is the wildest apartment or real estate investing story that you've got for us?
Well, this goes back to my days when I owned single family real estate and was looking for a tenant, and had posted it on Zillow, and got called on my cell phone by a lady who'd driven by the property where my sign was and said she was about to wire $1,600 to an account that wasn't me. Turns out that a person from another country targeted my property and ended up posting that one on Craigslist.
Of course.
And
I thought you were going to say Craigslist.
Yeah. And but thankfully she called me, hopefully, and then I reported it to Craigslist, but never did hear anything back from it. But couldn't believe it.
Don't give anyone money on Craigslist unless you meet them in person and they actually show you that they have the keys to the property. I've heard of so many people, especially in our line of business with Airbnb and us teaching people how to rent properties and then sublease them on Airbnb. I hear about people all the time and like, yeah, I had this great lead and it was going to be really cheap. And then when I showed up to the property, they didn't show up, or they didn't have the keys, and it just felt like a scam. And yeah, so that stuff, that's pretty common on Craigslist. So I'm glad that you saved her in time though.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. So Stephanie, you have a really incredible thing going on where you're able to bring in investors, and I want to hear though, from a syndication standpoint, and those of you that don't know what syndication is, Stephanie basically is raising capital from wealthy individuals that want to basically make their money make a lot more than just in a bank or in even stocks. And so it's a real powerful tool. But from your standpoint, like how did you get to that place? Where does Stephanie's career go, even maybe even before real estate, and then once you got into real estate, how did that all build up to where you were eventually becoming a syndicator? Because I feel like that's a powerful place to be, and you got to have a lot of trust with a lot of people. So I'd love to hear that
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. No, I actually, I have been a insurance agent for the last 16 years.
Okay.
I've always been kind of an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur. So uh, that's what I've been doing for the last 16 years. My dad invested in a lot of single family homes. And so I started doing that since about 2004.
Okay.
And as I've loved it, but I was always curious about apartments. So in 2016, I went to and did some training through RE Mentor was the name of the group, and realized there was a whole another world out there that was very interesting. So I closed on my first syndication in 2018
Nice.
and realized in this industry there's lots of things that you can do, and most people don't like to raise money. I happen to like to raise money. I like meeting these investors because they have really incredible stories, many of them, of how they've become successful, and that's been very interesting to me. So yeah, so I've kind of positioned myself now as kind of a person where people bring me deals, and I select maybe one or two of them a year to raise money for.
That's great.
And they're usually pretty fantastic deals.
So this is really intriguing to me because it takes two completely I would say two separate, not necessarily maybe skill sets, but two separate funnels that you have to have. You have to have the lead funnel, and you have to have the money funnel, and you have to tie those two together. And that's what it sounds like you're really good at. So
Mm-hmm.
um, you mentioned how you really are someone who enjoys raising money. And yes, you're right. Most people don't enjoy raising money. Most people don't like asking people for money. So what either makes you different, or what skill did you have to develop to get to that place where it was something that you enjoyed?
Well, I think being an insurance agent for the last 16 years was definitely very helpful, of having my own business and I'm selling insurance. I feel like this is a much easier sell than insurance is, but also I just really, really believe in this product. Many people don't know about it. And yes, I do work with wealthy people, but I also work with people that aren't million gajillionaires. I work with people that maybe have been investing on their own, and they just are tired of it, sick and tired of it, kind of like I got with my single family homes, and just decided to cash out of those and put my equity into these deals where I get a consistent cash flow, which is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, what I heard there is, you had the sales background. And then also when you're in sales, you're probably really good at networking as well. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
And I found that it's just I there was a lot of trial and error, to be honest. When I started, I focused in a lot of different places and just kind of decided to be, really focus on people that are investing in real estate currently and maybe want some options of, they're kind of the tired landlord
Yep.
type of scenario, or they're just the busy professional that, like insurance agents are a perfect example. They may have money, but they just don't know what to do with it.
Okay, cool. And so you've got that side of it where you've got people that are bringing you the money and you really enjoy that. Now, what about the deal side of it? A, do you enjoy it? And B, how did you get that funnel started where people are bringing you deals?
That is just The networking
Yeah.
is exactly it. I've up until COVID kind of nipped that one in the bud, but I was able to get out to a lot of conferences, and your work starts to speak for itself. um, and you actually get quite a bit of attention just when you say that you raise capital, because most people, that's kind of their sticking point of why they can't close a deal,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Okay. So what does a typical deal look like in your world, for any of these investors?
Yeah, that I usually select, because I get a wide range that gets presented to me. I really like multifamily value add properties.
Okay.
What that means is just, for someone that's listening, is just it's a property that's been mismanaged for whatever reason over time. Their rents probably aren't at market rent. um, Maybe it just needs a little TLC, some micro renovations,
Mhm.
to be able to raise the rent, but also look for market areas around the country that are growing. Real population growth. We have a lot of our properties in Florida and Texas
Okay.
that are seeing like enormous growth right now. So then we can, there'll be natural appreciation just because of the markets they're in, but also we can force the appreciation by raising the rents, because a lot of people don't know that commercial real estate, the value of commercial real estate is based on the income
Yep.
that is generated from the property. And so the more you can raise those different items, the faster the appreciation goes.
Yeah, and this is a cool topic for me because this is literally what got me into real estate, and I still today don't have an apartment. I'm in a couple of syndications,
Yeah.
but I just thought the power of multifamily was so amazing because we look back at 2007, 2008 when everyone lost their shirts because of single family real estate, and those had to do with values of properties, and properties going down in value because of no other reason than people just not paying their mortgages and it affecting the majority of real estate. Whereas when it comes to multifamily, if you have people paying the rents and you're getting X amount of dollars per month, that determines how much it's worth for an entire value of the property. So you can literally get in there and take something from a $500,000 multifamily property to 800,000, a million, just by adding a little bit of value and raising rents. And
Mm-hmm.
that to me is just so powerful. So um, how much of that do you feel like you work on with these investors just in regards to educating them on that in particular? Because I feel like that's something that, like you said, it's just not really well known.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I think when people like have that aha moment, it seems to be one of the best investments out there.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of my, I feel that my job is educating, because this type of uh, investing, the banks, the insurance companies, big financial institutions have actually invested this way for years. And I like to think of myself as, trying to get, the average everyday person who has their money in their 401k, or because truly we've just gone through COVID, and
Mhm.
we're all of our apartments are over 95% in collections.
That's great.
Actually, the rents have gone up during COVID, so that just really shows how recession proof this is,
Yeah.
this industry.
So what do you attribute that to? Why do you think that or maybe is it the locations that
Yeah,
you're getting these
I
properties
think,
to?
yeah, we do. They do. Well, I do as well. A lot of due diligence on the areas, and we just really dial those down into areas where they're definitely growing, uh, massive growth. Also, the economics of the area, that there's a lot of diversity, so that if one area tanks, the whole city doesn't go down. So yeah, it's really important to find the right location, not just the right property, but the right location for
Okay.
sure.
Awesome. So do you have, maybe just some round numbers off the top of your head of, how you're doing these deals, just kind of the underwriting of these deals, how much money you're raising, what kind of returns they're getting. And then at the end of the day, this is a business for you as well. I think it's really powerful for people to see that, hey, you can work with Stephanie as a syndicator, but if you're right now like looking to get out of a job or looking to get into a real, um, amazing opportunity in real estate, I want to hear what on the back end is left over for, Urbe Wealth as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, the deals that I try to raise for give the investors 8% preferred return, and that's paid monthly
It's great.
for as long as we own the property, which is we've been aiming for about 3 to 5 years as our hold periods.
Okay.
And then, as you mentioned, the appreciation occurs. So once we sell the asset, we're looking to give people about between 17 and 21% annualized rate of return through the hold.
Wow.
And so they're, we're really, I'm real laser focused on finding deals that are, that give those numbers because they're fantastic numbers. And once someone gets into one of these deals, it does sound a little too good to be true. And once they get into it, they're in every deal we do. And I'm probably pretty living proof that this strategy really works because I just retired from my job and this is all I do is capital raising at this point. I don't really have to do it because my passive income has well exceeded what my business income was, but
Great.
I just love teaching people about these alternate types of investing vehicles.
Yeah. And I think that's an amazing point to point out is that, in real estate, you literally can get paid for being the middleman. Like, I'm not talking about being a real estate agent and connecting buyer to seller. That is an opportunity too. But when we talk about, wholesaling, flipping, syndication, you're literally your ability to be able to find a deal and then either sell a deal or fund a deal and tying that together and tying, buyer and seller together, it can create a massive wealth. And so I just think that that's so cool that, you've been able to do that, and been able to see, the fruits of your labor. So I do have one question. You work with a lot of wealthy people.
Mhm.
Why are these wealthy people saying, hey, let's put, well, first of all, what's a normal amount that these wealthy people are putting into a deal? And then why are they choosing this over, call it, the S&P 500, their 401k? Why a multifamily syndication deal?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the that is probably the thing that propelled me out of my job is dealing with these wealthy people and seeing how they handle their finances.
Mm-hmm.
And just like a gong going over my head to realize that I've been learning to do this totally the wrong way. The wealthy, I mean, I have deals that usually the minimums are $100,000 to get into the deal.
Okay.
But I've had investors put several $1,000,000 into a deal. And I get to look at some of their financial statements. And what was fascinating to me is a very, very, very small percentage of these wealthy people have their money in the stock market.
Yeah.
And if they do have it in the stock market, it's kind of their play money.
Yeah.
Their real money is put into real estate that they don't manage, that they're passively, they invest largely in people and ideas and tangible assets, things that, don't go up and down for whatever reason. I don't think anyone really knows why the stock market goes up and down. But they also you look at their cash as a tool. And I think I had a lot of single family homes with a lot of equity. And I was like, gosh, what is that equity doing for me? My goal was, I guess, to hold them until 20, 30 years until I paid them off. But I was like, there's a great deal that can be done with this money right now if I pull it out and use it this way. And that is how I've gotten to the position I have. But largely, I think that was eye-opening, just to watch how the wealthy think of their money is really just a tool. They don't really believe in it sitting anywhere,
Yeah.
really.
I think, and tell me if you agree with this or not. I think when you look at your money as a tool, you also start to think about, what's that money doing for me now, and what could it be doing if I put it in this or put it in that. And that's really like, the ROI of what is that money doing. And so you mentioned, oh, we are told that our house, is our biggest asset, and we got to build up the equity in that, or we're told to put it in stock markets. And guys, when you do that and you just assume that it's going to go up over years, which most of the time, if you wait it out, it does, you're looking at, somewhere between, 4 to 6 to 8% passively of what your stuff is doing, which is fine. But what if you could pull out that money and then put it into something like what Stephanie's doing and get 8% return year over year, cash returns, plus building equity in properties? This is, to me, like, it's that mindset of, okay, my money's doing this at, call it 4, 6, 8%. But if I took this money and did this over the next 7 years, I could get, 30, 40, 50% returns on a yearly basis. That's where you start to really multiply and realize that, like, yeah, the stocks and the things that we're taught of the past just really aren't what we're supposed to be doing if we want to build wealth.
Yeah, and also the hidden fees. If you ask someone what kind of fees are they paying, and then you start. I read a great book called Killing Sacred Cows. I recommend everybody to read it. It's kind of more a philosophical book, but it really dials into how the wealthy think about their money and all these points that we're making. But the 401k is kind of, boy, it's the biggest sacred cow out there. I think it's when you think about the fees that you pay and who really benefits from the money just sitting there.
Yeah.
The financial institutions, the government is a big person waiting at the end to get their chunk out of it. So I would argue that it really isn't the best place to have your money at all.
Well, even the person who created the 401ks has come out and said, I didn't create this as a retirement account. I created this as a way for the companies to be able to save on taxes. Like, it wasn't meant for the employees to be a benefit. It was meant for the company's benefit. And when the person who created it is coming out and saying that, and we still are putting our money in that, it's like, man, it's things like this. So those of you that are listening in, like, I applaud you for listening in. And I say it's because of you proactively listening to people like Stephanie, that your mindset is growing, that you're now probably either sitting there with money in better places or sitting here being like, how do I get my money into better places? And I think that what Stephanie is doing is just a great way to do that. So Stephanie, before we wrap up here, how can people connect with you?
You can go to my website. It's www.erbewealth.com. And there's a lot of educational materials. You can join my VIP investor list. And when you do that, you get access to a lot of materials, our newsletter, as well as when one of these deals comes up, which is really once or twice a year, you're notified before it goes out to the general public.
That's awesome. Okay, perfect. So what would be your last words or encouragement to our audience that's listening in, to just get them to take action?
I think just think about your investments and truly what you're making on them, and exactly the question you'd asked before, which is, can you do better? And if you can, then you can move this money, regardless of what anyone tells you. You are in control of the money that you have. And I I came from a pretty average middle class world, and I'm turning 50 this year, and I all but retired. So it is possible.
That's awesome.
Um,
It's awesome. Take control of the money you have and be like Stephanie, retire before 50. How about that?
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Stephanie, thank you so much for being on the show and helping our audience to conquer the world of investing.
Thank you.
Show notes for this one, fearlesskyle.com/Stephanie Walter. Stephanie ends in an IE. And let's go ahead and get you over there so that you can get connected with her and see all the resources that she has and get on her VIP list if you'd like to be in some of those deals. And I can speak just from, my own standpoint here. I got into a syndication right away, and it was because I didn't have the knowledge, the education, the connections to be able to find deals. And I found myself being like, guys, I was stoked about 5 or 6% of a return. So think about that for a second. I jumped into a syndication at 5 or 6%, and Stephanie here is at 8%. Like, I wish I would have met Stephanie before I got into a syndication 2 years ago. And so to me, if I'm excited about being a part of that, then and you've got over $100,000 laying around, like, you should be excited, way over the moon excited about 8%. So get in contact with her. But on the other side, if this is kind of kicking you into an action, being like, you know what, I'm like Stephanie, I think I could really do a great job of raising money and connecting investors to deals, then I really encourage you, like, look more into these types of people. Tim Bratz was on our show back in 2019. That's all he does. Like, he raised over he's acquired over $250 million of real estate in 4 years just by doing exactly that, connecting investors and deals. And so, like, there is a true business out there for these kinds of things. So if that's you, keep on diving in, do some more research, and I'd love to be able to see what you're doing with that. So as always, review our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go and check out all of our content at fearlesskyle.com, including our Airbnb profit calculator. Thanks very much today for joining us here on the Fearless Investor Podcast. We're helping you to conquer the world of investing. See you next time.